This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, we now bring you a dialogue on GSLV D5 opens up new skies for India. The participants are Dinesh C. Sharma, science journalist, and Biman Basu, science writer.
Yesterday's the launch of GSLV D5. That was a major breakthrough in ISRO's space program, because the trial of the Indian-made cryogenic engine was causing a lot of anxiety, because without the cryogenic engine, it was not possible to build this GSLV, geostationary satellite launch vehicle, which is capable of launching heavy satellites of the INSAT class. Without the GSLV, India had to depend on foreign launch. And that's a very big expense in foreign exchange. So unless we had GSLV going, it would not have been possible for us to be totally self-reliant. So yesterday, at least, the launch has been perfect. The satellite has been put into its pre-planned orbit. Now, what do you think this will have impact on the India space program?
As you rightly said, it was almost a watershed movement for the Indian space program. We have mastered PSLV with 25 consecutive successful launches with a couple of failures, and that rocket is more or less established, and that was capable of launching up to 1-ton satellite, like remote sensing satellites we have launched. It was necessary that we take this next step, because we need to launch 2-ton plus category satellites, which are communication satellites, for which we have been depending on foreign launches. So it was a very critical moment for the Indian space program, and for which they have been trying for almost 20 years, as we know. The preparations for cryogenic planning at least started in early 90s, and then we went in for the Russian cryogenic. There were problems with the technology, or at least even without technology, even the engines from Russia was a problem, because the US thought it should come under the missile technology regime. There were sanctions imposed both on India and as well as Globcosmos, the Soviet agency which was planning. Ultimately, we got the Russian engines and we used them, which has also been a mixed bag, in the sense that 3-4 failures we have seen even with the Russian engine. So it's been a long journey, I would say, and one good thing is that ISRO has learned from those failures. Not only from the ones which you imported from Russia, but the indigenous one was tried on 2010, and after a 3-year intervening period, we have learnt a lot, and I think the results are there for us to see. And it's a very critical technology, as we know, cryogenic itself.
This depended basically on the test for the Indian-made cryogenic engine.
Yeah.
But the last failure, aborted launch in August this year, it was due to a leakage in the second stage, which was a tried out component of the PSLV, because GSLV uses most of the components which have been tried out on PSLV except the cryogenic engine. That is a new one. What do you think was the reason for the effort?
I was talking about the 2010 failure, when the indigenous cryogenic engine was tested, and that time it failed. And after that, the whole end-to-end design review of GSLV has taken place, and they have introduced a lot of new features in that, including aerodynamics and a lot of connectors and wires which go into the cryogenic side. And they also looked at why there was a earlier failure that some connectors snapped. So all that has been taken into account, and a lot of design changes have gone into this. So I think that has led to this success, in the sense ISRO chairman also said yesterday that we have learned from our failures, and that's how we have come to this stage, that we have a first successful launch. And this is a complete success, in the sense there's been no hitch at all, and it was completely indigenously developed. There was no foreign technology. The satellite has been placed into its predetermined orbit. So it's not just the launch which is successful, it has achieved its mission objective, so to say. Because I think cryogenic technology is very complex technology.
After this success, it immediately opens up a lot of possibilities. Because Chandrayaan-2, which we are planning to send this year, now it is delayed because we didn't have the GSLV, because PSLV will not be able to send it. But I think Dr. Radhakrishnan said that the next cryogenic engine will be ready in 3 years. Now, if it is 3 years, then are you going to launch the next GSLV after 3 years?
I think in the intervening period, there will be developmental flights of GSLV Mark II, the kind of GSLV launch which we saw yesterday. This was the first successful launch, so we need to have a couple of more launches at least. There's no fixed protocol that how many you have before you can declare it an operational kind of a vehicle, but I think they will have a couple of more launches of GSLV, and then before they go in for Mark III, and then man rating it, and so that it becomes available.
Because they are also thinking that once GSLV 3 is tried out, this human module will be also
yes.
needed. Because in the long run, they have plans to send an Indian astronaut in Earth orbit. For that, we need a powerful rocket, and this Mark III is being designed for that. And also, as you said, it will be able to launch a 4-ton satellite like INSAT that we have now.
So this is the first step, I think, towards that goal, because ultimately the long-term, I would say mid to long-term objective of Indian space program is to send a man into space. But that program is yet to be approved, but that's the goal towards which they are moving. So they will have to go upgrade this further and send a couple of more flights and then heavier satellites and then man-rate this GSLV. In the sense, it has to be capable of taking a human module. And a lot of work needs to be done, but this is a first critical step, because ultimately if you see wherever there have been human missions, including of most recent of China.
Fuel efficiency is so high that you need to carry much less fuel compared to any other type of fuel. When you carry much less fuel, the payload capacity increases. Not only makes the rocket more powerful, but it also increases its payload capacity. GSAT-14, which was launched yesterday, 1982 kilograms, not very heavy. INSAT and all, they now 3.5 to 3.8 tons. Now, after this launch, Dr. Radhakrishnan also had mentioned that if we have this GSLV in working conditions, a couple of tests successful and all, then we'll be able to save a lot of foreign exchange. Because now we are spending about $90 million per launch. But if we launch it by GSLV, as we have done yesterday, we have done it 350 crore rupees.
Yes.
No, that's a big saving, because foreign exchange that we have to spend on sending satellites into space by foreign launches.
If you look at the GSAT program, in 2013 also one GSAT was launched from French Guiana, Kourou. So that's a straight away saving, there's no doubt on that. Heavier satellites will be able to launch on our own, and if we are able to establish it as a dependable rocket.
We have launched more than 50 foreign satellites, but GSLV becomes successful because our launch cost will be much less than those of Russia or European Space Agency or even United States.
So ISRO is a very cost competitive and economical launcher as far as PSLV is concerned. So they can do the same with GSLV, I suppose. In the long run, if they are able to, have a couple of more successful launches of their own satellites.
Now, how much do you think the Indian industry has gone into this whole business? Because the components are definitely, a lot of components are manufactured by the industry.
In fact, the cryogenic engine itself has been made as per ISRO specifications by industry. And one good thing which ISRO has done, because if you want to have more launches in a year or over a period of time, you need to involve. You need to keep producing these engines very often. And that's very critical. No, if you want to have, say, 5 launches in a year, you need an industrial level production. And so, right from start they are involved. It's not as if technology has been developed and then it's been transferred. It's not been done like that. ISRO has a very organic relationship with industry.
Even satellites, Mars orbiting mission, that satellite has been developed by private industry. To deliver to ISRO, then they have fitted it up with the other payloads and all. Industry collaboration, I think, is very essential to sustain this kind of
and also
activity.
All the fuel is supplied by the private industry for a number of years, all for PSLV missions. So same thing is being done for. So there is I would say, an ecosystem which has developed around ISRO, which is very creditworthy. It goes to the credit of ISRO that they have been able to work with Indian industry, both public sector and private sector, so that there is a constant supply of whatever they need.
Whenever you outsource something, there's always a question whether the quality of the product that are being supplied are up to the mark or not.
Another thing which is going to happen with the successful launch is in between, before the manned mission, which is there's no date or program fix, although working towards that. There is a Chandrayaan-2, because GSLV would take Chandrayaan-2, because which is going to be a heavier kind of a payload.
It will carry a lot of
Chandrayaan-1 was taken by PSLV, but GSLV will be taking Chandrayaan-2.
If we had GSLV, then we would have taken a different route to send it. Because we didn't have GSLV, the payload was reduced
very small,
from 25 to 15 kg, and the orbit raising was done in a totally different way, because we didn't have a powerful rocket. So once the GSLV becomes operational, after a few more tests maybe, then ISRO will have a lot of other possibilities to try out, for instance. Because Dr. Radhakrishnan said, but 4 or 5 satellites are due to be launched. And maybe, next year, Chandrayaan-2 also is almost, I think, going ahead. Because of the problem with the GSLV.
No, in fact, what happened after the 2 back-to-back failures in 2010 was, a lot of schedule has gone haywire. Yes. Otherwise, Chandrayaan-2 should have been ready by now. And maybe the manned mission also would have been approved by the government, because there are a lot of problems. Schedules went, they had to depend on foreign launcher. There was a shortage of transponders we had to buy. So those two failures really put them behind by a few years. In between, if you look at the environment around India, particularly China, they have gone ahead, much ahead of India, and that we have lost some time on that count, I suppose. So that's I think it's very important to be ahead in the race. The goal of India's space program is totally different from that of China. The kind of money they are putting is very different from the kind of investment which you have been putting. So there is a difference although.
Now this GSAT-14, which was launched yesterday, it is supposed to be replacing EduSat, which went out of operation I think in 2010 or so. Now EduSat was not utilized at all to its full capacity. Now, what do you think? Will it be utilized this time, this GSAT-14?
No, GSAT, I think they are positioning more as a communication satellite with Ku band and S band and Ka extended band, about I think 24, 26 transponders. So this is designed more to act as a communication, satellite and augment the availability of transponders. I don't think they are looking at any...
that it will replace...
it is maybe orbit, the location-wise they are talking, it will...
Not application-wise.
I don't think so, because that's not the declared goal of at least this satellite.
Today India has much less number of transponders available compared to what is really required, because we need 500 transponders. We have 196 or so. So now I think
this will add 24 more.
24 more.
So they are mainly looking at that, not at, I don't think they are looking at any educational applications with this satellite as such.
And another satellite that they are planning to launch is GISAT, that is high definition geographical satellite. That is also, I think, in the pipeline for this year, if they, again, the next GSLV, they are successful. So we can say that, well, one success has given a big boost to ISRO's programs, because they have been waiting for this success for a long time. It has taken 20 years to develop. At least, all is well that ends well. So we can expect at least that in the coming months, during this year, they have plans to launch 2 more satellites, but one with PSLV, one from Kourou, not from India.
So that must be heavier satellite, but still we need to depend. So complete dependence on foreign launchers has not yet gone away, and it's not going to go away at least for 3-4 years, as far as I can,
till the reliability of GSLV Mark II is established, and Mark III is under development. And the first launch of Mark III, I think it is expected next year sometime.
So this is a very important step towards complete, self-reliance in space launching as such.
Because it removes a big doubt from the mind of the public, whether ISRO can really do it. Because after, as I said, 3 failures out of 7, that's a big percentage of failures. So after the aborted launch of this one, so there's a big question mark whether we are really, we can really do it.
So that way it comes as a big morale booster for ISRO and ISRO scientists who have worked on it for thousands of scientists at different centers of ISRO have worked on this mission for a long time.
So it will raise their confidence level.
Certainly, I think it's a very big morale booster, and in terms of material benefits, we'll have this satellite, plus we'll be saving the cost, and plus, looking at the future missions.
On any foreign launch capacity, I think is always risky. Because you simply don't know where it is going to be cut off. So that way I think we can say that with the successful launch of this GSLV D5, India is now in a position to claim that yes, we can be self-reliant in launching all our satellites. May not be for the next couple of years, but then thereafter, definitely. Thank you, Dinesh.
You are listening to a dialogue on GSLV D5 opens up new skies for India. The participants were Dinesh C. Sharma, science journalist, and Biman Basu, science writer. It came to you in the program News Analysis, produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.